The diner was loud, but somehow she still felt invisible. It was Christmas Eve in a small Midwestern town called Hollow Creek, Ohio, one of those places where folks smiled polite but carried their judgments like loaded guns. Margaret Whitmore, 71 years old, sat alone by the window. Her wheelchair rested beside the table like an afterthought no one knew how to mention. Silver hair pulled tight, pearls at her ears. A woman who looked like she owned the room, yet belonged nowhere in it. People whispered anyway. That's her. The billionaire. Why's she sitting here alone? Margaret stirred her coffee slowly, staring at the snow piling up outside. Money didn't stop loneliness. It just made it echo. Her phone buzzed, no text. Just a reminder, Christmas dinner, canceled. She exhaled through her nose. Then the bell above the door rang. A black man walked in with a little girl holding his hand. He looked tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. Jacket worn thin, pride still intact. The girl wore a red hoodie too big for her, braids neat, eyes curious as hell. The waitress scanned the room, hesitated, then pointed. Only table left. Margaret's. The man nodded. Guess that's us. They approached. Ma'am, he said respectfully, you mind if we sit? Margaret looked up. For a second, something sharp passed through her eyes. Not hate, just habit. Then she nodded. Go ahead. They sat. The room shifted. Conversations dipped. This table wasn't supposed to exist in Hollow Creek. I'm Lily, the girl said cheerfully. Margaret, she replied. I'm Daniel, the man added. She didn't answer. Minutes passed. The TV above the counter murmured. Snow thickened outside. What can I get y'all? The waitress asked Margaret warmly. The usual? Then she turned to Daniel. Flat. You? 2 plates of whatever's cheapest. Margaret looked up. You don't have to do that. Daniel smiled thin. Trust me, ma'am. I know how this works. The TV ticker suddenly caught his eye. Whitmore Industries settles discrimination lawsuit. Lily squinted. Daddy? Ain't that her name? Daniel looked at Margaret slowly. Whitmore? Yes, she said. The air went tight. So you're that Whitmore, Daniel said quietly. Margaret didn't deny it. Didn't defend herself either. Food arrived. Forks scraped plates. Lily swung her legs. Why you sitting alone on Christmas? She asked. Daniel froze. Lily! People leave, Margaret said softly. My mama left too, Lily replied. Something cracked in Margaret's chest. A group of white men walked in, loud and drunk on comfort. One glanced over. Well, damn, he said. Guess money don't buy taste. Laughter. Daniel stood up before Margaret could react. You got a problem with this table? He said steady. You got it with me. Silence. The men backed down, muttering. Daniel sat, hands shaking. Lily grabbed him. You good, Daddy? Yeah, baby. Margaret stared at him, stunned. No one had ever stood up for her like that. Outside, snow kept falling. Inside, 3 lives quietly collided, and none of them knew yet how deep it went. Daniel paid the bill when Margaret wasn't looking. As they stood to leave, she spoke. Wait. He turned. There's a hotel across the street, she said. They'll be full tonight. I have a suite I'm not using. Daniel stiffened. We're good. I'm not offering charity, she said. I'm offering a room. Lily tugged his sleeve. Daddy, it's cold. He hesitated, then nodded. One night. That night changed everything. The suite was warm. Lily fell asleep watching cartoons. Daniel stood awkwardly by the window. You don't owe me, Margaret said. I know, he replied. That's what scares me. They talked. Carefully at first. Then honestly, Daniel told her about his wife dying during childbirth. About losing his job when the factory shut down. About applying to Whitmore Industries years ago and never getting a call. Margaret felt the name hit her like a slap. I signed off on those policies, she whispered. Daniel looked at her. Yeah, I figured. Silence stretched. My father built the company, she said. He believed certain people weren't reliable. Black people, Daniel said plainly. She nodded. I didn't question it. I benefited from it. Lily stirred in her sleep. Daniel exhaled. My brother worked for one of your contractors. Died on the job. No compensation. They said he cut corners. Margaret's breath caught. I remember that case. Of course you do, Daniel said. You buried it. She broke. Tears slipped down her face, quiet and humiliating. I can't undo it, she said. But I can face it. The next morning, Margaret did something no one expected. She called a press conference. On Christmas Day, wheelchair and all, she sat before cameras. "I built my fortune on systems that excluded, ignored, and harmed black families," she said. "That ends now." Gasps, outrage, stock prices dipped instantly. Daniel watched from the back, Lily on his shoulders. Margaret continued, "I am reopening every closed discrimination case, starting with Daniel Harris." Daniel froze. She turned toward him. "And funding an independent trust for families hurt by my company." Reporters exploded with questions. Daniel didn't move. After he approached her, "You didn't have to say my name." "I needed to," she replied. "For once I needed to say it out loud." Weeks passed. The town changed its tone. Not overnight, but cracks appeared. Margaret stepped down as CEO. Daniel was offered a leadership role in the new trust. He almost said no, but Lily squeezed his hand. "You said standing up matters." On New Year's Eve, they sat together again, same diner. No whispers this time. Margaret smiled at Lily. "What do you want for next Christmas?" Lily grinned. "Same table." Daniel laughed. Margaret looked around the diner, the town, the country she'd helped shape without ever really seeing. For the first time in 71 years, she wasn't alone. Not because she was forgiven, but because she finally chose to change. And that made all the difference.